Hey everybody, welcome into the Windy City Breakdown. I'm Andy Martínez, joined by my co-host Tony Andracki and Kyle Millinowisch. First of all, sorry for not getting an episode in last week. We were all kind of could not just coordinate. Trying to coordinate three schedules is really tricky. But I'm glad we're recording today, Tuesday, second game of the Crosstown Classic at Wrigley Field. Just let's say, what, like probably 14 hours after PCA's most electrifying moment of his career. Kyle, I want to go to you first because I thought that was sick as a neutral observer, and I want to know what your reaction was seeing the PCA walk-off home run and really the game that he had in general.
He's so good. That was first, I just need to let that out there. He's just so good. Like, he's must-watch TV every time. Uh, at first, I was kind of surprised that they pitched to him. And I get the logic, right? Like, if they can get him out or strike him out, you intentionally walk Seiya, then you have the left on left with Bush, and it's obviously increases your chances tremendously. But I mean, yeah, after that 2-1 pitch that was right down the middle, I was like, damn, that was the one. And then I don't know if you guys, I think Brendan Miller from CHGO tweeted out the slow motion side angle of his swing. It looked like he was a little off front. And honestly, like a guy with his size, it's kind of surprising he has that much power. But just that moment, oh my God, the bat flip, the comeback in the ninth, I was spanking myself in the living room. I was going nuts. It was, I mean, that we obviously saw the fights in the bleachers, but Tone, you were there. Wrigley just seemed to be absolutely electric last night.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was such a cool comeback and walk off to see live. I wasn't
Yeah,
there.
you had to be shitting yourself there,
I
huh?
was. Yeah. The joke for the listeners is I got a case of the tummy bug and had to leave in the ninth inning of so right as Michael Bush was like flying out and nearly tying it, I was like, I can't. I'm gonna vomit in the press box or in the clubhouse or something. So having kids,
That
they just they went through it. Then it hit me in about the middle of the game yesterday. But yeah, I mean, back to things that everybody cares about. Like that was that was such a cool moment. And so, I mean, like, I feel like so underrated too is like Nico having an amazing game. I mean, Andy, you had the stat at one point, right? I think before PCA's hit was maybe still the case. The Cubs were 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position, and all three of those hits were Nico. Now, the first two of
yeah,
them were infield
infield.
singles, but still does a job. And his speed is part of the reason why they were hits and why it led to that, go ahead run when Ian Happ came around and scored on that errant throw from Vargas. And so yeah, I think that was an incredible game from Nico. What guy else who else would you want in a spot like that in the ninth than Nico with runners in scoring position too? All you need is a single. And then PCA, I mean, like you said, Kyle, like just his size and stature to have the pop that he has to hit the ball. I mean, he yanked it, that sort of was like a low outside pitch. It wasn't a bad pitch from Hagen Smith by any means. And he was out on front a bit and he sort of just like looped his hands and just threw his wrists at it and yanked it down the line. That power is eye popping. That like skill, his talent level is eye popping. Like all of it is, even the pitch from Castillo to lead the game off. I didn't think it was that bad of a pitch. It's not like it caught that much of the plate. It was like low and in. It was maybe a little bit higher than Castillo would have wanted, but first pitch of the game, that's not a pitch that I would expect to like. That wasn't a get me over fastball. Like that was on the corner, right? And PCA yanks it down the line, tries like a walk in the game. Just like what an incredible way to go 30-30 for a second straight year. What an incredible way to have your signature moment against the team that you had your worst moment of your career against the last time these two teams played. Just all around really, really cool night. And to your point, Kyle, yeah, it was epic at Wrigley. It really was. Like I appreciate White Sox fans coming out because every time they scored, it was as loud as when the Cubs scored. And it was just such a cool atmosphere to be there at Crosstown in mid-August when both teams are in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, it's probably the biggest Crosstown Classic since the 1906 World Series, right? Like they've never played this late, and they've never played this late with both of them being this good.
World Series.
Council actually said that. Council said that. He's like, I forget the way he phrased it, but he's like, let me look at the exact quote. He was like, this is the first time since 1906. And he's like, that's pretty big. Like,
Did you know said that when you said that, Andy?
No, but there's a funny offline story that I'll have to tell you about that. But
Oh,
that's for another time.
he did allude to
Um,
something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
he sort of winked at somebody, some of the other writers in
yeah,
there that I wasn't aware of it. Yeah,
yeah. So there's a funny offline story, but anyway,
tell it.
so yes, that is a big thing. But the other thing that that was like very to me was very telling too is like the White Sox are a pretty good defensive team. They're sixth in baseball in outs above average, so like pretty good defensive team. But you see like the difference in like what a good defensive team. I keep saying offensive, good defensive team and an elite defensive team, where the Miguel Vargas play at third, right? That gets if he eats that, maybe they get out of it. They don't give up the run. Like who knows? You don't even have the PCA moment.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't think the Tristan Peters one was as bad, right? Like I mean, I think the run was going to score regardless in the ninth, but like still
Yeah, that
fumbling
one.
the ball in center field. Like those are little things that add up, right? And this is the difference between getting an extra out or making the sure out and giving up runs. If you have an elite defense like the Cubs do, who knows? Maybe the White Sox end up winning that first game, and PCA doesn't even have that moment.
Yep.
And we're talking about Benintendi, or we're talking about whoever. That's to me was a takeaway that kind of was overlooked. Like that's the difference between an elite defensive team and why we're going to get into this because Dansby Swanson was placed on the IL before the game. Like that's that's what's a little concerning about me for me about him going on the IL is the defense is gonna take a hit. Not because I don't think Nico is can't play elite Gold Glove defense at shortstop, but more so because then you lose second base, and I think it's just like a slight decrease that you start losing some of these outs that might start that maybe shouldn't have been happening in the first place, but were happening, and we're saving pitch counts for pitchers and letting you letting your pitching be even better. So that's kind of my concern is like, well, what happens now with Dansby gone? Which I know Council's quote was roughly around 4 weeks, but Tony, you've mentioned it. We mentioned it in conversations like obliques are tricky. Like he could be back before the end of the season, but I mean, I think there's also a real world where like the DS or excuse me, the wild card round, you're kind of wondering like, is he going to be able to play?
He will play. And Council even said that, and Andy, you know this too. Like Council only speaks in those like definitives when he knows something's going to happen, right? Like he said, we're going to
Sure.
get
Yeah.
Points back this year. I don't know if we're going to get Ben Brown or Justice Steele back. Dansby will return. That's what he said. The problem is, going back to what you said, is coming off an oblique, what percentage or what level of Dansby will he be? And is he going to be able to do everything that makes him this elite level shortstop, this Gold Glove shortstop, and a guy who offensively is having his worst batting average season of his career, but still, he was on pace for 25 homers and 80 to 85 RBI. Like, I'll take that from a number 9 hitter. I will from any team, right? So, but if he comes back and he's 60 to 75%, what does that mean? What does that look like? And I think that, yeah, it does. This is going to be to bear watch, to be bear watching like over the final 6 weeks of the season is like how this impacts them, how his recovery goes if he is 100%, and then what the defense is like without him, because that's their biggest strength. The thing that sets the Chicago Cubs in 2026 apart from anybody else is the defense. They have a really good offense. I mean, second in baseball most of the season, but we've seen that can go away for a month, and it could go away against good pitchers or a guy like Will Warren a couple weeks ago who isn't even necessarily having a good season but had a really good day. Like that can slump. Offenses slump. Defenses don't. And like that is something you can bring consistently that keeps runs off the board and helps everybody but Edward Cabrera become the best version of themselves in the mound, right? And so like I think that's the big thing. And Nico is an elite level second baseman. Maybe his defensive metrics aren't quite there this year as they have been in past years, but he still is. And Dansby is an elite level shortstop. Now, Nico's still a really good shortstop. He actually had 10 defensive runs saved in 2022, the last time he played the position full time. That was more than Dansby, who had only 9, by the way, that year. But like Pedro Ramirez is a solid defender, but I think he's probably a little bit better at third base this stage of his career than second. So it just brings him down a bit, and it creates more opportunity for maybe negative things to happen. Right now, you're one Nico injury away from being like, oh shit, this is like an emergency type of situation. And even when Pedro Ramirez, like, getting hit in the hand type away from, okay, well, who fills in at second base? Is it ISU's Owen Miller, or until Matt Shaw comes back? I think it's like there's suddenly questions and doubts and concerns that 3 days ago the Cubs didn't have.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing, and this was actually before Dansby got hurt. I believe it was Saturday's game. I want to say Dansby had the day off.
Might be,
Nico was at short, and they couldn't turn 2 double plays. And not to say that if Dansby was at short and Nico was at second, they would have. But the first one, I maybe it was Jordan Walker, but it seemed like a routine double play, and it was just a slow developing like turn right between Nico and Pedro at second. And obviously we saw it led to the 3-run homer from, is it Joshua Baez, right?
Yep.
I still want to say Javier Baez. I'm an idiot. You've Jay Baez or said Jay Baez so much in our chat now that I just want to say Javi. But it gave the Cardinals an extra out, and obviously it led to his 3-run shot. And yeah, that's one instance, but it's a recency bias and glaring instance for me. So yeah, I know fans have clamored for more playing time for Pedro Ramirez. Obviously, he's hitting around 285, 290. But at the same time, Dansby's defense, do you think it says, you guys we're watching every game. Are we just kind of accustomed to it and we take it for granted where his offensive struggles are what they are. And I know I've beaten that drum. Like, the fuck are we doing offensively here? But he's so good defensively. Well, was it the Padres manager last year, right? In the wild card series,
Sure.
He said Dansby was the MVP of that series defensively, or just in general, but because of his defense.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, there you go. It's as long as he's back for the playoffs, I guess that's really all that matters. But in the meantime, chasing down the Brewers becomes that much harder with Dansby out for 4 weeks.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think if you think about it, and maybe this might seem dramatic, but I don't think it's too dramatic. Yeah, if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers and you take away Shohei Ohtani from hitting, right? Like, this is a really good offense. Like, that's a big loss. And Dansby Swanson is, I would say, the second best defender on the Cubs, and they're a team that's built on defense. And if you're taking away the second best defender, it's just naturally going to go down. I don't care how good Pedro Ramirez is. I don't care how good Nico Horner is. Like, it's going to take a step down, and that's the concerning thing when this team is built on defense to see that step back. But Tony, you mentioned Edward Cabrera.
Real quick, I would say just on the defensive front, I feel like I've been such a harsh critic of Seiya Suzuki's defense for the previous 4 years in Chicago, and I was thinking last night, I was kind of struck by some tougher plays out there that he made look really easy last night against the White Sox, the first game of the series. And I feel like he's just done that this year, and he hasn't. There's still some time left, but he hasn't had the 1 or 2 big blowups that we're accustomed to seeing from him, where drops the ball, or he did have kind of a crazy wild throw earlier this year, but that didn't really make a big impact. But yeah, a lot of credit to him, because we had heard how he won the Japanese version of the Gold Gloves, and we thought he was going to be a good defender here. And that last year he was basically made the DH because Kyle Tucker was in town and his defense was lacking. And this year it's not. He's taken a major step forward. His arm is strong. His routes to the ball look better. He looks more confident and comfortable out there. Not really sure where it was the previous 4 years, but Seiya's defense is part of this overall defensive I don't know, revelation or whatever for the Cubs. It's like, we all knew PCA was going to do it, but he took a step forward. Dansby's been incredible. Honestly, you could give a gold glove to any single member of the 8 guys in the field right now in this offseason, and I think it would be justified. Like, Carson Kelly's looked good behind the plate, and I think defensively too, the ABS thing for Carson Kelly comes into play, saving his pitchers strikes and runs and all that. So yeah, I definitely the Dansby point, but I just wanted to give his flowers. The kids still stay give them the flowers. I don't know, but I just want to give Seiya his credit, his due
We'll
credit.
say they do.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Seiya.
Oh yeah, happy birthday.
It is his birthday. Yeah.
Birthday, dude. Come on.
It's my nephew's birthday too.
Week.
Your nephew's?
Yeah, I was going to tell him, he's only 5. I was going to tell him he shares the same birthday as Seiya, but I don't think he'd care.
Tell him I said happy birthday from Seiya.
I will.
Yeah, how about that?
It's also on the defensive thing. One interesting point I heard Coom on the radio over the weekend mention, and I hadn't really thought of this, and I was kind of mad at myself for not having thought about this. what he was mentioning, like with PCA's ability to cover more ground in center field, that allows Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki to play closer to the line, and so
Mhm.
therefore they're stealing more hits
Good
down the
point.
line. And I was like, I never thought about that, but like that is such
Yeah.
a big trickle effect because like, well, now right center or left center don't have to be covered as much by Ian Happ because yeah, PCA is going to get to the ball more often than not. That allows you to steal some more hits off the line, which at Wrigley Field especially. I mean, I think that's there's literally no fall ground space down the left field line or down the foul line. So like that's you're stealing bases there. It drastically improves the defense, and sure, like I guess you could say it's cutting down the range for Seiya and Ian Happ, but like it's also helping steal outs. Like and that's fine. I think they're going to be fine with that with PCA manning center.
Yeah, no.
You also meant
So I was just
go
gonna
ahead, go
say
ahead.
on that same note, like Coomer's all over it because last night when I was feeling ill and had to drive home, and I was listening to the radio on my drive back, and so Zach Zaidman was setting up Coom for the I think it was the Benintendi at bat, and it was like Jacob Webb's changeup was obviously really nasty last night, and I know Kyle was in love with Jacob Webb's changeup last night in this whole season. But yeah, like there was it was beautiful radio. Zaidman was teeing up Coomer to say like, what would you throw in this situation? And there was like a 2 or 3 minute stretch where Coomer had said nothing but the word changeup, and it was like Zaidman was like, what would you throw him here? And he's like, changeup, and he's like, because it was and like it was like because Benintendi got a fastball, so like, what would you think the best pitch right now would be? And Coomer would be like changeup. And he's like, all right, where do you think this pitch is going to be? He's going to be like change up down. And it was change up down. And it was just like this beautiful sequence. It sort of felt like this, like, this dance, this harmony. And it was just a really great analysis. Like Coomer called every aspect of it. And Jacob Webb obviously like executed on the mound. But it was just a really cool moment that I was like smiling to myself because like Coomer gets it, man. And I feel like he doesn't deserve enough credit too. Like he has his finger on the pulse of this team too.
Oh yeah, I love Coom Dog. I've been listening to the radio more, just driving around, I guess, this year. But I love listening. Obviously, it's been more Zach Zaidman and Pat Hughes, but Coom Dog he's the one constant, and he's very underrated. Lockport legend.
Yeah.
Lockport Porters. That's what their nickname is, right? The Porters.
Yeah. Real quick, going back to Jacob Webb's changeup, that was so the Benintendi at bat. After the first pitch, JD was kind of making a similar remark like to Benintendi because obviously he was out front. He's like, "You're not getting another fastball after what you did that last at bat." And then after that, he threw the Webb threw the second changeup in the exact same spot, and JD was commenting on it. He's like, "Oh, it's pretty obvious where," and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's pretty obvious what pitch he's going to throw next here. I mean, and maybe from my standpoint, I was like, "Yeah, he's just going to throw another changeup," and like, why wouldn't you? And I'm sure Benintendi had an idea that he was going to throw another changeup, and he did, and he swung and missed 3 times, and the pitch was almost in the exact same location. It's just that's more a credit to Jacob Webb's changeup. Just the guy knows it's coming, and it's so hard to lay off. I mean, it's a strike for 95% of the time it's traveling to the plate, and then it just drops off the table. It's just a phenomenal pitch. Like, I mean, who was the Sox hitter that is it Braden Montgomery who challenged the 2-2 pitch?
Yeah.
I mean, I would have tore my ACL swinging at that pitch. Like that thing was a strike 98% of the time, and it missed by what was it? 0.2 of an inch?
Yeah, yep. That was the one that was like 0.2 of an inch. Yep.
Something remarkable. So like, I don't know how he laid off that one, but yeah, Jacob Love's changeup. Like I said, I'm in love with it. I think I'm in love with it.
I did think when he didn't get because he would. I mean, they had all walked off the mound, and then Montgomery challenged it. I thought it was going to be a little tough for Webb to kind of reset, right? Like you have the high of like, I just struck the guy out. Our team can walk it off, and I thought that was kind of a little bit of an underrated moment to come back and he walked Montgomery and then got the next guy out.
There was a great mound visit by Hottovy there. I thought it was just like coming out, just slow it down for a second, and then he started Peters with an 0-0 curveball. I believe that's a curveball he's throwing there, and he's been using that a lot more for a first pitch strike. Just a great reset. Then he just started hammering the changeups again, like just back to reliable.
Yeah, like here's my changeup. Try and hit it. Tony, you mentioned him earlier, and I want to get to it because it's got a trickle down effect on the rotation with Edward Cabrera going on the injured list. Kind of a weird sequence for him, right? Where he comes back from this hamstring injury and he has a blister that he thought was starting to form early in the game. And then it formed in the fourth inning when things went off the rail. And then after the game, he says he's 100% making his next start. And then the next day, he is put on the IL. It was kind of a weird sequence, and I'm kind of curious. You were there. Like, what does this mean for Edward Cabrera? Are we going to see him again this year? And what role? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was a weird. Even yesterday was a weird sequence because he walked through the clubhouse right before we were about to close, and so we all went over and in mass, the big group of beat writers that were there, asking him about the changeup, and he said that it feels pretty good, and that he was planning on throwing tomorrow, meaning today, Tuesday, and he didn't say explicitly, but the way he was talking made it seem like he didn't expect to go on the IL. And then we're in the conference room right before Craig Counsell comes in, and Cubs PR comes in and is like, Edward Cabrera is going on the IL, and it's like it was just less than 5 minutes after he talked to him. It was kind of a funny sequence of events. I think it's the right move. I'm not kind of chastising the Cubs. It is the right move because you don't know what you're going to get from the guy. And that's what Counsell said. And this is also one thing that, like, Andy, you and I have talked about before, but I just appreciate the honesty and directness from Counsell. And, like, he's like, listen, this isn't a serious issue with Edward Cabrera, but it's popped up multiple times this year now with his nail and his blister. He actually, I guess, experienced it after one of his rehab outings in Knoxville, Double-A Knoxville. But it's like they didn't know when he was going to be able to pitch again. And if in 4 days, when his turn came up in the rotation, could he make the start? Could he give them length? Could he pitch out of the bullpen? They weren't sure. So they're like, this isn't the point of the season to mess around with that. We're going to put him on the IL, get this figured out. And then when he comes back, I mean, as Counsell said too, they're thinking about, like, do shorter bursts help him in this case? Because this blister isn't popping up in bullpens when he's only throwing 30 pitches, maybe 40 max. It's popping up when he's out there for 70 plus. And what if he comes out of the bullpen and has shorter bursts? And, Counsell was asked directly, does this mean that you're trying him out as a reliever? And he's like, yeah, that's the working plan right now. So in 2.5 weeks, when he comes back, Edward Cabrera, expect him to be in the bullpen. I also think it's possible that, like, he doesn't come back right away in 2.5 weeks because, like, this guy has not pitched he's pitched out of the bullpen twice in his big league career. So you're saying twice since before the pandemic, he has pitched out of the bullpen. That is a brand new thing to try to do in the middle of a pennant race. It's not like Javier Assad or Colin Ray or David Peterson going to the bullpen, or even Clay Holmes. It's a brand new thing for him. And by the way, like, he hasn't been good in the first inning this year either when he has pitched. It's not like his stuff has been, he falls off the third time through the order. He has not been good, and it hasn't worked out. And, like, Counsell even admitted that too. Like, I made, sort of a joke and alluded to it, but, like, Cabrera is pitching in front of one of the best defenses we've ever seen any team put together, and a Cubs pitching infrastructure that turns around at seemingly everybody they come across, right? And yet Edward Cabrera, who has as much talent, probably maybe even more arm talent and stuff talent than anybody on the roster, and yet they can't figure it out, and he can't figure it out. It's puzzling, and the Cubs don't have any answers right now. And I don't know where they go. He still has 2 years left from here. They're not going to get rid of him. They're not going to trade him. He would have no value anyways. They're not going to DFA him. I think it's at least possible that he is only a reliever from here on out. And I don't know that he ends up making a major impact for this team this year at all, or even beyond. Like, there are major, serious questions about Cabrera's future, I think.
I think there are. Go ahead.
I was going to say, this is one thing that him transitioning to a reliever that concerns me is the lack of strikes, and specifically the lack of first pitch strikes. So I'm looking at his game logs here, and this is going in, I guess, would it be reverse order? So from his most recent start out. So it was against the Cardinals, 45% first pitch strike, 54%, 55, 54, 35%, 47 and 57, which is, and then I'm looking at just Cubs relievers in general. Their first pitch strike percentage is around 63. That's including, like Drew Palmer, obviously anybody who's been a reliever, like not including position players. we saw it with Ryan Zephyr. How do you say his last name? Zephyr John. But yeah, like he's struggling finding the strike zone, and yeah, it led to the 2-run shot by Benintendi. I just don't know how you could put him in. Yeah, maybe he's a low leverage relief option right now. I mean, obviously you're not going to put him in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, but I just don't know how effective he is on the mound in whatever role he's in. If he's not throwing first pitch strikes or just throwing strikes in general, he's very inconsistent and unreliable.
Yeah, and like and I know you have thoughts too, but just real quick on that point, Kyle, like how many low leverage multi-inning relief guys do you want in this team? You already you have Aaron Savali and yeah, not even low leverage. Like I trust Assad and Peterson is in the bullpen or Ray or even Savali, but like I would take every single one of those guys over Cabrera right now. So I don't know who he would even push out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry, I'll shut the fuck up.
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, I do think like the future concerns are like maybe a little bit premature. Like I think in an off season, I think it's easier to kind of work around, figure out what's going on, and find a path to remedy this blister situation because he was a really pretty solid major league starter in the past. Like there's track record to get it back. So like, and he's got years of control. It's not like he's going to cost them $30 million a year. Like there's a path to getting there. But I think in the short term, you're right. Like he's going to have to be on the roster because he has no minor league options, right? Like sure they can delay the rehab assignment as long as they want, but like eventually he's going to have to be on the major league roster, and that'll probably be in September when rosters are expanded. So there's a way to get around it. But I mean, I think in September, yeah, you're going to be seeing him as like, all right, well, we want to limit, maybe we want to limit Kevin Gausman's pitch count, or maybe we want to limit Shota Managa's pitch count and workload. Like you're a bridge guy. That's how it's going to be. But to your point, Kyle, yeah, like he's got a 21% strikeout rate, and this is a bullpen that, whether or not the Ryan Zephyr-John acquisition ends up working, like they're trying to get more swing and miss, more strikeouts out of their bullpen group because like Trent Thornton has been great, right? Like he's been a really nice reliever for them, but he's got a 13% strikeout rate.
Yeah.
It's like one of the worst strikeout rates for a reliever. And like, so you kind of have to think like there's regression coming, or there's some sort of regression coming, especially as a reliever where you're not striking guys out. And maybe it doesn't because of the Cubs defense, but like, you can't go into a postseason. You can't go into crunch time with a bullpen filled with guys, and you call them low leverage guys too. But like Colin Ray, Javier Assad, Savali, Edward Cabrera, Trent Thornton. That's 5 guys who aren't striking guys out, right? Like, and that's just not good. That's not a good bullpen. Like that's not a modern bullpen. That's not a modern bullpen that's going to win you games in leverage situations. So you need to have guys that are going to be striking guys out at more than realistically like a 25%, 25% clip, and that just isn't Edward Cabrera right now. And I don't know if he's going to get there this year, just given everything he's gone through. And is he a good major league starter in 2027, 2028? Yeah, maybe. But like the focus right now is on 2026 and how you can win as many games, as many playoff series. And I don't think Edward Cabrera fits into that equation this year. Go ahead, Kyle.
I don't know if you guys have anything else to say on Edward Cabrera, but Taylor on the broadcast yesterday said Ben Brown is scheduled to throw a live bullpen on Friday. Do you think he'll be back in September, or he'll be an option for the Cubs on the stretch?
So he told us on last Friday, the first day of the Cardinal series, that he thinks if everything goes well, he'll be back in 4 weeks, which would put him around September, right, when rosters expand. So, and like realistically, like if you have like a 2-inning guy, give me Ben Brown any day of the week over Edward Cabrera. Yeah. A, because he's done it. B, because he's had success doing it. C, because he was the best pitcher on the team before he got hurt. So, like, I think that's a secret. That's a secret X factor for the Cubs.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, I agree too. And I think, I mean, Palencia's got to be getting really close too. Like, Andy, I don't know if there's something I missed specifically.
And Milner.
And Milner too. But Milner's another guy that falls into the Trent Thornton. Hardly misses any bats. Things. It's going to be really interesting. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wonder with Milner, and I know I've seen a lot of fans like wanting Caleb Thielbar to get DFA'd, but like if you look at all his like advanced metrics, like his strikeout rate is slightly up. His pitch metrics are relatively the same from last year. Like everything says he should be doing better. He's just giving up home runs.
Yeah.
And they've all felt like backbreaking home runs, which like are obviously
The whole
not
staff's
good.
giving up home runs, for fuck's sake.
Well, yeah. But I also wonder, and I did not check the wild card standings before I made this comment, so I could be wrong. But like your potential matchup could be someone like the Philadelphia Phillies in the wild card round, right? Like it is an option
right now.
So, who are some of the Phillies' best hitters, right? Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber.
You should have said
Luis
Schwarber.
Arias.
Insulting.
Yeah, I should have said Schwarber. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but like,
stop.
I think there is value. I think there is value in having Hoby Milner and Caleb Thielbar and Ryan Rollison and all these lefties that are at different angles. That, as we saw over 3 straight games, like let's say it goes to 3 games, you might not want to run out Ryan Rollison all 3 days, but if you're giving Ryan Rollison one day and then you're giving Hoby Milner one day, like if you're giving them different looks from the left side, I think you're optimizing your chances of winning. And I think there is value in like, okay, maybe Hoby Milner doesn't strike guys out a lot, but like that's a different look that they have to see in that from the left side, which I think in that situation, a matchup situation like that is very valuable.
No, I agree for sure. And I think, Palencia seemingly will be back soon. Like he had struggled on his rehab, but then on Sunday he pitched, struck out 3 of the 4 batters he faced. I think he gave up a single and then 3 strikeouts. So it was like encouraging to see. So he might be back. Shelby Miller's a factor. Hoby Milner, obviously, as we talked about. And then, Hunter Harvey was talked about. Andy, was there anything over the weekend update on Hunter Harvey?
Nothing on Hunter Harvey over the weekend.
Yeah. And I wonder even too if like Gavin Holloway ever comes back into the equation because he looked really good right before he went on the IL. But then you have Ben Brown, and it's like we talked about all this stuff. Even Edward Cabrera out of the mix, and I still don't know what's going to happen with Justin Steele. I think it looks more and more likely that he's not going to be a factor at all. I think it'd be a really great story, but like if he's still not even throwing and working his way up, I don't know if that's going to play out. But this bullpen that's in there now, it's like, who do you get rid of? Like maybe you get rid of Savali, but he's giving you some really good innings. And like, do you option Assad down for like the 9th time this season? Zephyr John, Rollison, and Assad are the only guys with options. And we're talking about 3+ guys potentially coming back, at least, on the higher end, and Ben Brown, Hoby Milner, and Daniel Palencia. And then, like I said, the possibility of a Harvey, a Hollowell, a Miller, even an Edward Cabrera. Like rosters expand is only one pitcher. It's not, if everybody is sort of into the old school, like you can get up to the 40 guys. That was kind of awesome when that happened, but they get one extra pitcher. Like that's it. So I don't know how it's going to work out. I actually find it to be one of the more interesting, like underrated storylines over the next few weeks is like, now that they are getting a little bit healthier on the pitching staff, who's the best 13? And I don't have that answer.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. As some of you guys who have listening might have noticed, we introduced some commercials in the middle of the podcast, and instead of just dropping it in for you guys while we're in the middle of a conversation, we're gonna actually have a natural break, and we're gonna do it by Kyle's gonna give us his clues for That Guy Rocked. He's up this week, so Kyle, you're gonna give us our clues. We're gonna go to commercial, and while we're at commercial, we're gonna think about it and try and guess after the break. So give us your clues.
All right, you want me to give you all the clues or just a couple of them?
I give us like 3 or 4. Yeah.
All right. So this guy was a 10th round pick by the Colorado Rockies in 2013.
Aaron Miles.
No, close. He played for both the Cubs and the White Sox, and he might be the most recent player besides PCA to hit a walk-off home run for the Cubs against the White Sox. So keep that in mind. I'll catch you after the break.
All right, welcome back to the Windy City Breakdown. Kyle, you gave us the clues one more time for Tony because he was thinking about it and could not figure it out.
Because he had the tummy break, yeah.
Yeah.
During that break, we were waiting an hour here for Tony to get back. This guy was a 10th round pick by the Colorado Rockies in 2013. He played for both the Cubs and the White Sox. Before PCA's walk-off home run yesterday, he was the most recent Cub to hit a walk-off home run for the Cubs against the White Sox. I'm going through his Wikipedia here. There's some obvious ones that I can't say because it would just be like you would get him right away.
I thought you gave us. So I'm kind of mad because okay.
He's outfielder. He just got DFA'd or released from the New York Mets within the past 2 weeks. He might be a Chicagoland guy. He might have been at Wrigley Field in the bleachers when he got drafted, or on his way home from a Cubs game when he got drafted.
I know who it is, Tony.
I'm getting more confused. It might just be the sickness, but the more you talk, the less clear.
That's
that's a natural, yeah.
That's usually how this.
Can I guess Michael Tauchman?
Oh, correct. I was going to say that, but that felt. I thought you said that the most recent walk-off against the White Sox was way in the past.
No. I said that was the most recent extra innings game. Extra innings win.
Oh, Kyle said this in our chat, in our podcast chat. That you threw me off. Good one.
Yeah, that was so. Monday was the Cubs' first extra innings win against the Sox since 2001, and that was at Comiskey, or then known as Comiskey. Mike Tauchman. I don't know if you guys remember. This was 2024. I believe Hector Neris blew the save in the 9th.
Yeah.
And then Tauchman led off the bottom of the 9th with a home run to left center.
The opposite field. Yeah.
I remember 7-6 win. Yeah, to be honest, I thought before I was looking up who had the last walk-off home run, I assumed it was Morel. That one in 2016 in 2023 on August 16th. But Mike Tauchman, and they brought him up on the broadcast yesterday. They had a little. That's why I knew he got DFA'd, because Boog said it.
Yeah, he got DFA'd, and Christopher Morel just got called up by the Mets.
Yeah, I saw that. That's crazy.
Did he?
He was hitting he was hitting like 300.
Yeah.
AAA.
So they basically swapped
in
a couple weeks apart. They kind of swapped those guys.
Interesting.
We talked about it early on in the podcast, and I feel like we always punt this conversation, but I feel like we have to have it now.
Yes.
The PCA MVP conversation, I think, is just like, I mean, it's funny because Shohei Ohtani had almost a similar game on Monday night for the Dodgers. Obviously, he didn't have a walk-off or like a first pitch home run, but he had a two home run game for the Dodgers. But like, for me, it's getting harder to not find a way where PCA doesn't win the MVP unless he gets hurt or totally craters. But like, he's putting up the campaign that should win you an MVP, and that, like, yesterday felt like an MVP moment. Kyle or Tony, I'll start with you. Or go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, you were mentioning like these MVP moments, and I believe maybe it was Carson Wolf on Twitter. He said that PCA leads Major League Baseball with 7 or 8 game-tying hits in the 7th inning or later this year. So he definitely has the flair for the dramatic. Obviously, yesterday, the leadoff home run, the first pitch of the game, the walk-off home run in the Crosstown Classic. It's just flair for the dramatic there. But even matching Shohei, was it last week or 2 weeks ago when Shohei led off the game with a homer, PCA does it. Obviously, they both had 2 homers that game. So, and for me, yeah, I'm obviously biased. That's the thing. It's like, it's kind of crazy because Shohei, he's just such a unicorn. And if he was pitching, and just in general, like I feel like if he was pitching and had like a 3.3 ERA, 3.4 ERA, like he would be the MVP just because how ridiculous it is to be both a pitcher and a hitter. But what has he made? 10 starts this year? Is that all he made?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if he doesn't pitch again this year, he's essentially a designated hitter then. And I just don't know how you could give the award to a designated hitter and a 10-start pitcher where PCA is doing it on both sides of the ball, right? Like he's
14 starts.
Offensively, 14 starts. He's doing it offensively, defensively, on the bases. I mean, shit, how about that double in the 8th inning yesterday? That was a hell of a play by Andracki to dive and cut it off from going into the gap, but there's nobody else on the team that gets to second there, right?
Yeah.
And it's the little thing. In a lot of times in extra innings, we saw it in the extra innings game against the Blue Jays. He stole third when pretty much everybody in the park knew he was going to steal third. He's done that a few times in extras. He just, he's must-see TV. He meets the moment whenever the moment needs to be met. And from my standpoint, you guys could bring up the F war and B war and all of that stuff, but he's an electric factory.
Yeah, speaking of F4, did you guys see Megan's tweet, Megan Montemurro?
Yeah, that was going to be my point that I was going to reference.
I knew you guys were going there. That's why I didn't bring it up.
Andy, make it.
So, well, let me pull up the tweet. I didn't have it, but I can pull up the.
All right, I'll pull it up. I have it up. PCA's
All right, perfect.
performance: 2 homers, a double, a single, a walk, a strikeout, a stolen base, and 3 RBIs added a half. So 0.5 F-order season total, which is pretty wild to ever have that happen. And 12 qualified MLB hitters have produced an F or less than that this season, including Kyle Tucker, who has 0.4 WAR. So PCA last night, Monday night, has been more valuable to the Cubs than Kyle Tucker has been to the Dodgers all season.
Right there, MVP.
Yeah. I mean, all right, so I pulled the numbers up too. So including pitching, PCA 7.7 WAR and Shohei 6.7 WAR. Like, both are incredible players, right? But even with pitching, because the defense, as you mentioned, Kyle, like it just sets PCA apart. He is in a different category, and if Shohei does not return to the mound, it's just difficult. It's difficult to give it to Shohei. He has less than 20 OPS points over PCA. He's slightly better in batting average, on base, and slugging, but like really slightly. They have the same amount of RBIs. PCA has 1 more homer. He has 20 plus 24 more stolen bases, more hits, more plate appearances, more games played, more WAR, and obviously plays defense. And Shohei doesn't. Like, to me, it's becoming less of a conversation of whether PCA is going to win it, and more of a conversation of, is PCA going to win it unanimously? And so, unless Shohei gets on the mound at some point in the next 6 weeks, PCA falls off a cliff, which it's possible. We've seen it. PCA is going to win this award, and Shohei is going to be second. And we're getting to the point where like it might be unanimous.
Yeah, maybe the other point I was going to make is like we might be witnessing the single best Cubs season by Cubs player since like Sammy Sosa, right? Like that's like he has surpassed Chris Bryant's MVP numbers, like MVP season number. Like this is a really really special season. Like these aren't things that happen every single year. Like there, you hope that he's this kind of player for the rest of his career, but like there's also the reality like this is going to be his peak, so you like really really need to enjoy it and like appreciate it for what it is, because these seasons don't happen all the time. And like Alex Bregman, he's been a really good player throughout his career, but his best season came in early on in his career where he had like a 9 WAR season. Like these are the kind of seasons that just you really value. And to your point about the MVP discussion with Shohei Ohtani, I voted for Rookie of the year Skeens won it, and I think there was like 8 of us that voted for Jackson Merrill over Paul Skeens. And my contention was Skeens had an unreal rookie season, but he came up in May. And to me, I thought it was more valuable that Jackson Merrill had come up from opening day, played a whole new position, and had produced I believe it was significantly more WAR, and was like just a more valuable player to his team. Now, obviously, like you could look at the rest of their careers and say like there's no question that Skeens has been better, but in that season, to me, I valued more the every single day player playing a new position and being excellent at offense and defense than the guy who pitched essentially like 3/4 of the season. And again, that was no knock on his own. Like the Pirates were manipulating his service time and didn't call him up right away. But to me, this is a similar argument in the sense of like Shohei Ohtani is a DH who has made 14 starts and been incredible in those 14 starts. There's no denying that at all. Like he's been really, really good in those 14 starts. But like PCA is playing every single day, is the best defender in baseball, regardless of position. And now his bat is one of the top 5 bats in baseball. Like that to me just screams MVP.
Yeah. I mean, everything he does, it's much must-see TV. Like I literally won't miss an at bat. Like I'll stop what I'm doing and be like, hold on, everybody shut up. PCA's batting. I know
Right.
it kind of reminds me of like Schwarber and like, what was that 2019 where he was just smacking homers left and right. I think he had 38. Like Schwarber was must-see TV that year. And KB obviously 2016, but yeah, I mean, what's his OPS plus? Is it 156?
Yeah, like that's insane.
Mm.
That's insane.
I think KB's OPS plus in 2016 was 148. And like,
yeah, like
PCA is a hell of a better defender. And how about, we haven't even mentioned the fact that the walk-off shot on Monday was to go 30-30 again, did we?
Yeah,
I mean, I think we're probably in pre-passing, but like, the first Cub ever to go 30-30.
Actually, Kyle, you dumb fuck.
But first Cub ever to go 30-30, like
in consecutive years.
In consecutive
years, yeah.
The only guy who's ever done it is Sammy. So, like you said, Andy, you got Sammy Sosa and PCA. Like, it's funny when PCA just continually gets mentioned along the same lines as Sosa. And I mean, obviously, Sosa played in a different era where the ball was flying on the ballpark at a different level, and PCA is just going about it in a much different way. And yeah, it's fun to watch. It's really really interesting. I will say, like, so last year, I mean, if we remember, like, PCA did essentially nothing in the playoffs. Do you guys think the voting for MVP will be done before he plays his first playoff? That's the way it works for anybody behind the scenes. So his playoff performance doesn't affect MVP. But do you guys think he's better equipped now to perform better in the playoffs? Do you think he like is going to have a little bit more pressure on him in the playoffs to perform?
I was going to say, I think even if he has more pressure, he's clearly shown, like, when the moment gets big, like, he's almost like wants that moment.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think of the first moment where I feel like the switch flipped was in St. Louis, right? When they were like the overrated chance. And it's like, I think last year, if that would have happened, like, probably would have struck out or like maybe at best would have gotten a single or something. Like, I felt like he would have been chasing sliders away. Like, if I was a pitching coach or someone for the Cardinals, if this was happening last year, I would have been like, just throw sliders in the right-handed batter's box because, like, he's going to swing. This season, it feels like he's just geared up for the moment, right? Like, St. Louis, he did that. Yesterday, he did it. Like, it doesn't seem like the moment is getting too big for him. And he talked about it at one point earlier this season. I remember being when he was talking about it, he had a conversation with John Maley, and he was saying, like, he looked at it from like, oh my gosh, I'm in these moments, I've got to perform, to like, no, I get to be in these moments, right? Like I have earned the opportunity to be in these moments, and like just that mental switch of thinking of it that way has allowed him to better appreciate the moments. He's not going to come through every time, right? Like, it's just not realistic. Like, this is a game where you fail 70% of the time if you're really really good. Like, he's not going to come through every time, but you have to like your chances of him doing something great when the moment arises, especially in October after what we've seen this season.
Do you remember when we had Chris Emma on and we were talking with him about getting the crowd to stop chanting PCA because whenever they chant PCA, he sucks? I swear to God, since then, whenever they chant PCA, he always gets it. They were chanting. I feel like that's an underrated storyline from the hit yesterday. Before that pitch, they were chanting, or maybe they were chanting MVP, or it was one of those. And then, he hits the walk-off. So it just goes to what you were saying, Andy, like where he's not, his mindset's changed where he gets to be in those moments and he has, the opportunity to perform and excel, and it's not a burden. So, like, you take that and honestly, you factor in out like his approach at the plate, the walk rate, he's chasing less, his numbers against left-handed pitching, right? Like last year, I think he hit 188. This year, he's hitting over 300. He has 8 homers this year against left-handed pitching. Like, he's just, I feel like he's a completely different player than he was going into the postseason last year. So to answer your question, Tone, I definitely think he's more equipped to excel in October.
And I think the lineup's just deeper. Like, I think 1 through 9, that also that puts him in a better situation. One last thing I wanted to get to before we wrap up. You brought up this conversation, or you brought up this topic, Tony, in our group chat, and it's an interesting one, and we kind of touched on it a little bit. But the idea of a Crosstown World Series, and I think, Kyle, you and I were high school in 2008, the last time they were both good. And there was a thought of a Crosstown World Series. But this one feels a little bit more real because, the White Sox are in a pretty good position. The Cubs feel really, really deep. Do you want a Crosstown World Series? What would it be like? Kyle, you're shaking your head no, so I'll start with you.
It would suck. I'd be I'd be too nervous. No, that would suck. I mean, it would have great upside for the Cubs, but like, can you imagine losing that? That would suck. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be phenomenal theater, and like the wins would feel like just I don't even know what the best drug in the world is, but it would just be like doing the best drug ever. But the losses, I would just like want to pop my lid off. Right? Like it's too much for my little heart to handle. So
My little
no, saying no.
What? Imagine the fights. Like we see the fights in regular season games. Like imagine the fights if there were playoffs. Like so last night, Eugene McIntosh and I were sitting next to each other. There's actually Chicago police officers in Wrigley. That's rare.
Did you guys see the video? Someone one of the guys, I couldn't really tell in the video, but someone got walked out in cuffs.
Yeah, we saw somebody getting walked out on the third base line behind like the Cubs dugout. Somebody was getting walked out. It looked like in Cubs. I didn't know if that video or not, but it's just like it's not often you see the police officers actually in there. Usually it's the old guy security in the red shirts that if you saw in the Bleacher video, like as soon as the punches started being thrown, he just bowed out, which I don't blame him. I mean, he looks like he's in his 70s and he's
like, I'm not getting paid enough for this.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the security, right, is like it's not security. It's a bunch of old ushers. Like they're not breaking up big brawls like that. But yeah, I think that would be absolutely wild to see what the fans would be like. I mean, they'd have to have like National Guard or something in place with the way these fights are going on. I think it would be cool, and I like Crosstown. I think some media members always seem like it's sort of an annoyance. And you can kind of attest this, right? Like there's an element of like eye rolling, like all the cameras are out, or they're making so much such like hullabaloo out of like this series that ultimately is no different. Hubbaboo? Did I say hubbaboo? Hullaboo?
What's that?
It's like a fuss.
Yeah,
like they're making a big
hubbaboo.
Is it hubbaboo? I thought it was like hullaboo. All right, whatever.
I don't know. I knew what you meant.
They're making a big fuss out of it, and and yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's for the fans, and like I feel like Joe Madden and David Ross and Craig Counsell have like understood that, and it's a really cool moment for the fans, and like it sort of ignites the city in a different way. I just think it's cool, regardless of how it plays out. It's cool that both teams are in it and looking like we're gonna have October baseball for both teams.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it's being around the players and like or more than, but it feels like the players don't. I don't want to say care because that's not the right word, but like it's not like a rivalry to them. You know what I mean? Like because at the end of the day, for the White Sox, the bigger series was this weekend, right? Like if you would have said, "Hey, would you rather sweep the Tigers or the Cubs?" You can only pick one. I would say 95% of White Sox fans were going to pick the Tigers, right? Because you want to win the division. It puts you in a good position. Like, and I think the Cubs, if you said, "Hey, would you rather sweep the White Sox now or would you rather sweep the next Brewer series?" They would 100% say the Brewer series, right? Like, so I think there's an understanding from the players of like, yeah, these are big games for fans, but like, it's no different than like playing the Twins in a sense, right? Like, and maybe it's downplaying it a touch, but like the division games are so much more important, and I think that creates less of a rivalry. Like, I mean, it always felt that maybe it was me young growing up, but like it always felt like Cubs White Sox, the players hated each other when they would play, right? Like there was a Michael Barrett fight, right? Like prime example. So like that kind of seems like it's gone away, but I mean, I think a World Series would totally change that. My one gripe would be is if there's a World Series, MLB would have to get rid of the travel day, right? Like you don't need a travel day. You can get between the two stadiums.
When you build in
minutes.
I guess you could. Yeah, I guess you don't need the travel day, but you
schedule.
They wouldn't, but like I would think you should change. Like if you want to have a Sunday off day to not go against the NFL, that's fine. But like, give me 7 days and 8 games.
They had travel off days.
7 games and 8 days.
They had travel off days for Cubs Brewers in the playoffs last year, and that's an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, so I know it's dumb. I'm just saying you don't need it because there's no such. You're all staying in the same houses. So dumb. So that would be my one gripe of a Cubs White Sox World Series. But yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be crazy.
You're the only person in the world that would think that.
Yep.
I am, but I stand by it.
Tony was so disinterested in the off day stuff. He just yawned.
He started yawning.
I did. I'm sorry, guys. I was up last night a lot.
Hard pee.
That'll be. Well, with that, we'll wrap up this edition of the Windy City Breakdown. Thanks as always for tuning in. For Tony, I'm Andy. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.